I appreciate that. I need you to write up a few things for me in the future. So thank you so much for letting me be here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you about some of the exciting things our youth are participating in at Dobyns Bennett High School. So thank you for having me, and we'll have some time for questions maybe at the end, but cut me off whenever you think I've went long enough, because I get pretty passionate about this, so I can talk a pretty great deal. So career and technical education will be the focus today. So you know, my job is trying to find the passion of 2,400 teenagers. So quite a large task. You know, when did I realize my passion? When did you realize your passion? And so you know, that takes some time to try to help students identify your passion and pursuing your passion and how we can help you with your passion. So once we find your passion, once we know it's a passion, through talking, through skill sets, through personality assessments, all kinds of information. Once we identify your passion, we can really go after and make some great things happen for you. So trying to help 2,400 teenagers find their passion. If you have ideas, I'll be glad to take them because that's quite the challenge for me, but it's never a dull moment. It's always exciting. So I want to share with you today a little bit about our career and technical education program. So I'll speak to a very small part of Dobyns Bennett High School. So there's Dr. Morehouse, I think, spoke with you last week, and so he probably gave you a district overview. I'll share just about basically one piece of our campus. It's an amazing place. Visit sometime and come and join us, but I'll share with you just really pretty much a building and a few other teachers. So these are some of the courses that we offer. So you can see we have some diversity in our course offerings and the programs that we offer. So we can't teach every career, but if we know what career you're wanting to pursue, we can connect you to that career. And I'll share with you some ways that we do that here in just a moment. So these are pretty much our basic courses that we offer, tried and true every year, regardless of the students and their skill sets. And so you can see it's anything from fire science to computers to programming to nursing. You want to be a CNA, we've got a pathway to help you obtain that. So pharmacy technician, you want to be a pharmacist, we've got a pathway to help you obtain that. Banking, accounting, cosmetology, culinary arts, and I won't read them all to you, but you can see it's pretty broad, and you'll see lots of skill sets there that also are careers in Kingsport City. So that's also obviously one thing we want to do is teach them a skill that they can stay in Kingsport and they can make a good living here if we connect you to a great career. So won't share a whole lot about all those, but they're pretty deep, and we have amazing teachers leading those charges. So some of these courses we offer for dual credit. So students take our course at the high school. At the end of that course, they take a final exam from a college. If they pass that final exam, they get college credit for our course at Dobyns Bennett. So several of those offer college opportunities by taking the high school course. So you're probably familiar with AP courses, or you've heard of AP courses. It's a lot like AP, except it's with a specific institution that the students are receiving college credit for. We also partner with some of our colleges. Some of these courses, maybe we don't have the capacity on campus to offer, but we have students that are interested. And so what we want to do, if we know your passion, we're going to do everything we can to try to connect that. And so these we call our career academies. These students have an opportunity. These are partnerships that we have with Northeast State, here with the Higher Ed Center. Some of them, they go to the Blumpville campus, but students have the opportunity to complete the certification in these areas. So actually these students will graduate 2 weeks from college before they graduate from Dobyns Bennett High School. So it's kind of interesting. I've not taken my senior final exams, but I just crossed the stage at college. And so the first year we did that, colleges were trying to figure out how do we graduate a student that has not graduated from high school, because technically they have not, because colleges typically have their graduation before high schools have their graduation. And so what a challenge I love to present to post-secondaries is we've got students that are ready to graduate from your institution before they're ready to graduate from ours. So that's what we want to be. We want to challenge students, and we want to challenge post-secondary as well. So students arise to those challenges. So the left-hand column are the courses that students can take through our career academies. The right side are the number of college credit hours in those courses. All those credit hours roll into an associate's degree. And then four-year institutions hopefully accept that associate's degree as well. So a pretty good opportunity for students to compete. Last year we had 7 students that graduated from Northeast State 2 weeks before they graduated from Dobyns Bennett in welding. They wanted to be welders. If you'll notice, welding on the previous slide is 27 college credit hours. And so not only did these students complete their high school requirements, the math, the English, the social studies, the finance, the economics, but they also had time in their schedule to complete 27 college credit hours of welding. Now, I don't know how many college credits you all left with, but I left with 0. I left high school with 0 credits, and maybe some high school credits I really didn't earn. Truth be known, right? You know me. So maybe I didn't even earn some of the high school credits, much less any college credits. So I can sing and dance. Well, I don't know about that. But these students left with 27 college credits. So it's bigger than the welding. You know, welding obviously is students can make a great living here in our area in welding. But we had a student in a group one year that walked to DB. I have to tell this story. John, I apologize if you've heard it, but I can't miss it, actually. But finding people's passion, I think, is the way I opened. And we had a student one year that wanted to take welding. We offer welding in the summertime because that's a great time to teach you. When industry's starving for employees, why are we closed? Why is my building closed when our industry's begging for CNAs and our industry's begging for welders? Why does my building shut down? Well, it doesn't. We keep going, and we've got lots of opportunities to still teach you. So if you want to take a welding class in the summer while your friends are at Warriors or Base Mountain, that tells me something about your skill set. That tells me something about your passion if you're willing to come to Dobyns Bennett and take a welding class versus going to Dollywood with your friends. Now, we build the summer classes to where you can still do those things because you're a teenager and you should. You should be able to go to Dollywood with your friends if you choose to do so in the summertime, but we also can get you some welding classes. So we had a student in a previous group that didn't have transportation to Dobyns Bennett. So this student, this is pretty big for a student to do in this time. The student walked from his house to Dobyns Bennett, and we got one of our Dobyns Bennett vans. The classes are at the RCAM, the Regional Center for Advanced Manufacturing. They're on the right, down near Domtar. So the student walked to DB. We got a DB van. We drove the student to the RCAM for his class. The student after class, because you know college classes end whenever they need to. The student after class walked from RCAM to the new CATS bus station, caught the bus, rode to the Food City on Fort Henry, got off at Fort Henry Food City, and walked home. Now, for a teenager to do that in today's time, that's a pretty big deal. Do we have local employers that want to talk to that student? Because I really don't care about his welding at this point, do you? He just told me something about his passion to weld. And so when I started, I said, finding students their passion, that's pretty powerful. So a student like that tells you something about his work ethic, I hope. And that doesn't happen a lot now. You know, there was a time my parents and grandparents would tell me about basketball practice and uphill both ways in the snow, and you hear those stories too. So, you know, that's a pretty big story for a student today. So that student probably is going to be a great welder, and I hope that one of our local employers finds those same experiences from that student. So helping them find their passion. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that group that graduated last year. So all of our programs have advisory committees. Some of you may serve on those advisory committees. And this is who kind of vets what we're doing and what we should be doing and helps guide us as to what should a high school welding program look like? What should a high school nursing program look like? And so they help guide these programs. And so this is a list of certifications that students can receive in addition to their high school diploma. So my task that I've kind of given myself is that students should leave high school with more than just a diploma, because I failed them if they leave with just a diploma, because there's too many opportunities for us to be giving our students to just give them a high school diploma. Now, we work very hard to get lots of students across the stage to get that diploma, but what else? What other feathers in their hat? What other resume pieces can we give them to make them successful? So you want to be a nursing student? Let's help you get your CNA. Pretty good start for students. We have some students that they want to be a neonatal nurse. And in the past, we've been able to work through HIPAA, and we've been able to get that student in to see the birth of a child. Now, maybe you were able to see the birth of a child at 17, 18. I was not. But if you think you want to be in a birthing unit and be a neonatal nurse, it's about one of the best experiences that I can give you. Would you agree? It's a pretty good experience. And sometimes students come back from those experiences and they're like, No way, I don't like blood. Well, it's a good time for us to teach you that. So sometimes it works both directions. If we can eliminate a career, that's a win as well. I'll take it. So then let's keep going on to second and third and fourth choices. So we can offer some students a pretty good opportunity. So you'll see all across the board, measuring. Measuring's an art. And one of these tools that they use to measure can measure the thickness of the hairs on our head. So when we say it's precision measurement, when we can measure the thickness of one of my hairs, which there's less now than there used to be, but if it can measure one of the thicknesses on my head, it's pretty precise measuring. And so when we get into some of our machining classes, it has to be that precise. If you're working in aviation and parts for an airplane, the measuring has to be that precise. So some of these tools that the students are using are that precision of measuring. There's a group of our students. Do you notice when that training took place? When did it take place? Fall break. Who comes to school on fall break? The dedicated students come to school on fall break, right? So those students came, this is the fall break, 2 fall breaks ago, because we weren't able to do this last year, unfortunately, but those students came, they wanted to learn how to measure. They had completed some of the courses through Snap-on and Stare-It, the certifications, and they wanted to learn more. And so they came to me and said, hey, can we come during fall break and learn Tuesday and Wednesday about measuring? And guess what my answer was? Absolutely. We will find an instructor, we will locate a classroom, and we will teach you measuring, and that's exactly what happened on this day. So those are the students that I think our local employers want to talk to. The students that came on fall break, the students that came in the summer, the students that walked to Welding. I think Kingsport has a great career for you. There's some additional industry certifications that our students can obtain on their own. Lots of these aren't connected to a grade. It's just that you had an interest. It's an after school, it's a summer program. You wanted to come. So anything from firefighting to automotive to CNA. There's just a group of students that received a national certification in logistics and supply chain management. Anybody had problems getting a product here lately? Been a little slow in the supply chain. So they're learning about supply chain and logistics and moving products from A to B and wherever necessary. Work keys, you may hear about the work keys. Work keys is an ACT test, so all of our students take the ACT to show college readiness in a sense. This is a work keys test, and so this one's a little different approach. Maybe I'm not testing on what you know, but how you can use the information. Most of the time we can find information that we need. So we offer the work keys. Some of our local industries require the work key score for you to apply for those positions. If you look at some of our local postings, it's a requirement. Sometimes you'll see it as it's preferred. It's not required, but we prefer you to have a work key score. So we're offering the students that opportunity. The students that took these exams did it on their own. We didn't make them. So that separates yourself a little bit from our other 600 graduates if you have these credentials. Trying to tell the employer a little bit more about our students. Diploma of Distinction, it's on the table there. Pass it around as you want to. I just put a couple of copies. I know you can't read this, but local employers got together and said, this is the diploma we need. This is what we need from your graduates. And so if you'll notice on the back of that, the students can receive points for proving that they're drug-free. Any employer that our students are going to, we want them to keep them safe, and they require drug testing. So students go on their own and they prove that they're drug-free. That gets them points toward their work ethic distinction or work ethic diploma. So this is a diploma that's created by industry, not by the Department of Education. It doesn't replace their Department of Education diploma. They still get the honors diploma, the Tennessee State diploma. They still get those, but this is a work ethic or work distinction diploma. So you may see that. At workethic.org, there's a group of companies that agreed to interview these students. If you have the work ethic distinction, we guarantee you an interview. Anybody in the room been guaranteed an interview? Not me. I put my name in the hat, said my prayers, and hoped that they called me, right? Well, if students have this diploma, local industries have said if you obtain this, we will guarantee you an interview, a spot at the table, a spot with our HR team. Pretty impressive diploma. So there's the students. We don't ask them to, we give them the opportunity. They take it upon themselves to get the work ethic diploma or work ethic distinction. The names you'll see back and forth between diploma and distinction. It's hard to bring 2,400 students to industry. You don't want me bringing 2,400 to your location to tour, probably. So we try to bring the industry to the campus, to the school. And so we have the first Wednesday of every month is a college and career t-shirt day. And so it's easy to wear a Georgia shirt or a Virginia Tech shirt or an ETSU shirt or a UT shirt. It's a little harder to wear a Worley shirt, a contractor for Eastman. It's a little harder to wear some of our local industries t-shirts. And so what we do here is we ask our local industries, hey, if you have 2 extra large shirts left over from a picnic, if you don't care to share those, we'll find someone to wear them, right? And so we will educate students about your industry and what skill sets you're looking for and what opportunities there are available there to you. So this was Worley Day, Worley Wednesday is kind of what we called it. And so the staff, however many t-shirts we had, we found people to wear them, and we had conversations with students about Worley and what Worley does and what skill sets they're looking for and 401ks and all those great things. The Robinette Company, one's in Piney Flats, one's in Bristol. They were our featured industry, and so we offer a space in our lobby for local industries, and anyone's welcome to do this. What would you want to tell 2,400 students about your company? Here's your chance to share it. Some do TVs, they interview their current employers. What would you want to tell 2,400 students and 200 staff members about your company and what you have to offer and the skill sets you're looking for? And so those are 2 of our companies that took advantage of that space. Work-based learning, like I said before, we can't teach everything, but we can connect students to careers as long as we have an employer that's willing to accept a student for a period of time to work with them. Who better to learn for if I want to be an accountant than a CPA, right? Let's place you with a CPA. If you want to learn law, we have students pretty much every year at the district attorney's office. All I need to do there is get out of the way, make those connections, and let that magic happen. So we can connect you to the career as long as we know your passion and what you want to pursue. So we can get you in some pretty good placements. So we have a work-based learning program led by Miss Claire Arbaugh. She's amazing if you don't know her. These are some of our students. Dakota Bricky, a student a couple of years ago, wanted to work in maintenance at one of our local companies. That's music to our local employers' ears that we have a 17, 18-year-old that wants to work in maintenance. So we put him in a work-based learning placement at Silgan Closures, and guess what happened after he finished his internship? He got hired. Yes, he's still there today. So through these placements, we can it's really a 3 or 4 month interview from the company, right? And it's also a chance for that student to explore and make sure that this is what I want to do. So if you know of a local company that would be interested in accepting some of our students, they're vetted, they're interviewed. It's a very, very strict process for those students, and we can put them in some pretty good opportunities. We advertise these with our students. Here's an announcement. Silgan Closures looking for an intern, a student intern, and here's the requirements that you have to apply. We'll have interviews. Silgan Closures will come in. They'll be a part of those interviews as much as they want to be to interview those students for these opportunities. So 18-year-olds can help our local companies and 17-year-olds. So we're trying to let them. Another student that was placed at Silgan Closures, they're a great partner. Yes?
When do they do these internships? Are they during the summer, or are they during the school year, or when?
Great question. The internships, when do the students do these internships was the question. Anytime. We can offer a work-based learning credit anytime that company is willing to let us. We can offer a summer credit, which is a great internship. So if a student wants to do construction, an hour and a half is kind of hard to learn some skills. By the time you get to the job site and get things organized, an hour and a half we can do. We also can do a 7 or an 8 or a 10 or a 12-hour day as well. Because I've always said if you want to be a nurse and you go to the hospital for an hour and a half, I can tolerate about anything for an hour and a half. But what about a 12-hour shift? Does that change the experience? And which one of those is probably more realistic, the hour and a half or the 12-hour, or somewhere in between? So anytime. We can give summer credits, great question. We can give a fall credit or a spring credit. As long as the employer and the student can work that out, we can make it happen on our Dobyns Bennett side. Great question, thank you. Here's some of their placements. This isn't all inclusive, but it's some of the places that we have students placed in to learn different skill sets. Another list there on the left of our transition school to work students, work-based learning placements. Recognize some of those. tell you about some new things. So I told you about some things we were doing and some things that students are taking advantage of, but there's still a lot of things we need to be doing. And so we're trying really hard to bring new things to students, because we're training students for jobs that actually haven't been created sometimes, and that's a little bit hard. So if you have the crystal ball and you know what skill sets students are going to need in 5 or 6 years, I would love to rub that crystal ball with you and find out. But supply chain management and logistics. We realize that lots of our industries are trying to move products or receive products or ship products, but who's teaching that? And so we got to looking, and the closest that I could find, there may be others, but the closest I could find was Appalachian State in Boone, North Carolina, and UT Knoxville. And there's lots of industry between Boone, North Carolina, and UT Knoxville, and I couldn't find anyone. ETSU has a business program with a supply chain management concentration, but I couldn't find a high school between those two that was offering supply chain management. If you know one, I'd love to hear about it, because I'd love to learn from them. So this past year we offered a supply chain management program, forklift training. That was something we're including in our, how do you drive a forklift? Just some things that we can start including at the high school level. So those kinds of things. Hopefully one day we'll get to skid steers, and we'll branch out a little bit to get maybe some a little bit bigger equipment as the need arises. So this on your table is another thing we're trying to do, and these are some new programs we got coming up, and I'll speed it up because I'm probably cutting it close on time. So on your table, I just kind of put some there. So here we're always asking industry to take our students, but can the industry come to school? And so basically what this advertisement is saying is there an industry out there that a workforce of 2,400 can help? Maybe. I hope so. I think so. So here's what I'm kind of proposing to these industries. I have a space. If I give this space is much, it's about the size of this room, maybe a hair smaller, but it has high ceilings. That drop ceiling can be raised to almost a 2-story space. So can 2,400 students help a business in this space? Is there something that a labor force of possibly 2,400 can do for a local business right here? Can we be a part of a process? So some piece of manufacturing has been taken this far. We add something to it. We ship it. We box it. We deliver it. This is our next proposal. So instead of always sending one student here and one student there is great, but can we have 15 students working in this space for a company that's contracted us to do so? And so this is the next thing we're trying to do. So we have the mortar, we have the lights. We would love for the students to be paid. And so what we're trying to do there is that you go to school for 4 hours and you work for 4 hours and you get on the bus and you go home, or you go to football or you go to band. We're not taking away from those because it's extracurricular. If you want to be in band and you're 17, you need to have that opportunity. If you want to play golf and you're 17, go for it while you can. So we're thinking about this 4 hours of learning, 4 hours of work, because it's hard to tell which one they're going to learn the most from. We would love to start juniors. So your 11th grade year, you're doing level 1 of whatever process this company has asked us to do. In your senior year, now you're doing level 2. And then guess what? Whenever you graduate, we hope that company is ready to move you to level 3. So we're hoping that this has some opportunities, but there's a space at DB I'm willing to give a company that will partner with us. Students walk down the hall, they clock in for their 4-hour shift, and so if you're learning in the morning, you're working in the afternoon. If you're working in the morning, you're learning in the afternoon. So we have a 4-hour shift, so we're covering 8-hour shifts just with 2 different students. So if this is big enough to handle 15, we've got 30 students working 4-hour shifts to cover 15 8-hour shifts. Does that make sense? Is that beneficial to a company? I hope so. Because we will keep it stocked, we will keep it staffed, we will keep things rolling. So it's kind of an interesting concept. I've not really seen it, but just something we want to try and see if can we help someone and give some students some skill set as well. There's the back of the building. The classroom looks kind of small, and it can be organized a little bit better. But we've got a garage door there that we can raise and we can back up to and unload and load. And is that helpful to a company if we have a 2,400 population to choose from? So if you know of a company, that's what that kind of brochure is for, is just to throw it out there and see, can we help a local Kingsport business? Our newest, I guess, is that supply chain management, logistics, and construction. So trying to bring a construction program with partnering with TCAD TCAT in Elizabethton is our service area, so we're trying to partner with TCAT with the Sullivan North facility. Has lots of space, dust collection systems. It's got some things that, lots of space that currently I'm a little bit landlocked at Dobyns Bennett. We're using about every inch that we have, and that's okay. But we have some opportunities to expand. And so we're partnering with TCAT to bring a construction program very soon, very, very soon. So I don't know how much Dr. Morehouse may have mentioned that last week, but construction is very broad. So when you say construction, everybody may have thought of a different skill set in construction once it's mentioned. So is that electrical, is that plumbing, is that HVAC, is that, that's a good question. So what's the need is probably the best question that we should be answering. What's the need for the biggest part of our community? So construction is our next newest program. So that kind of is fast. That's a lot of information. We really are busy. It might not seem like it, but we really are trying to help our local industries find students' passion and connect them to some of our local industries as we see fit. So hopefully that was a little bit of information. That's not all of DB, obviously, but that's just a little bit about this world. Yes, sir?